again, everyone. I'm Howard Cosell. Welcome aboard.
Hello. Welcome to 70 Years, 70 Muppets, More Muppets, Please. A Muppet fan podcast presented by ToughPigs.com. This is the podcast where we celebrate the Muppets' 70th anniversary with a series of spotlights on our favorite Muppet characters, from fan favorites to the most obscure. I am this week's host, Katie Lynn, and the Muppet of the Week is devastatingly tragic and erudite Louis Kazagger. Performed by Jerry Nelson and designed by Mary Casel, making their world debut in 1978 on The Muppet Show. Joining me today to discuss this sports phenom is the second most known Howard Cosell impersonator, Matthew Soberman.
Thank you, Katie Lynn. We take you now to Shea Stadium in Flushing, New York, where two titans are about to discuss the intricacies of Muppet sports broadcasting.
Thank you for that to shout out. And here we are, actual Katie Lynn and actual Matthew Soberman. How you doing, Matthew?
I think I have a frog in my throat. Yeah, no, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
No problem. So we're here to talk about Louis Kazagger. So why were we talking like that, Matthew?
Well, Louis Kazagger, his appearance and his diction were definitely based on the legendary sports broadcaster Howard Cosell.
And if you don't know who Howard Cosell was, as they like to say on Muppeturgy, he was very much part of the monoculture in the 60s and 70s and 80s. He was as much a caricature of himself by the end of it.
Absolutely.
But the most well-known sports broadcaster for ABC. Did Monday Night Football.
I mean, he was the face of ABC Sports for a long time.
Yes. So Monday Night Football started, and he was on it, right?
Was he? This is why I have the Wikipedia page up. Okay, so it started in 1970. Oh, yeah, no, he was there for the beginning.
Yeah, so he was absolutely the face of that, and then, he did Olympics coverage, he did...
Boxing was his other big sport.
Yeah. Boxing really launched him because he covered the Muhammad Ali fight. He covered
for those who don't know, if you are familiar with the boxing phrase, down goes Frazier.
So that was George Foreman and
George Foreman and Joe Frazier. Or you may have seen it again with that infamous clip of Kelsey Grammer falling off a stage. I did see that return.
It has been a much parodied phrase.
Yes.
And like I said, he was a huge character in and of himself, and therefore it was absolutely going to happen that the Muppets would reference him at some point, and they did so quite well, I would say, with Louis Kazagger.
Yes.
So let's talk about Louis Kazagger's design. How he looks, like what parts are based on Howard Cosell, or is it's kind of basically his whole thing.
Howard Cosell's nose was very prominent, and Louis Kazagger's nose even more prominent.
True. But that look is so singular in Muppets because he kind of looks like Droop, but only if you'd shaved off all of his his fur.
Where I'd say Droop's nose is more like a snout or a trunk. Louis Kazagger's is more like a beak.
Yes, definitely beak-like. But it's also just it's his nose that becomes the top of his mouth. It's very...
Yes,
very
there
almost
is no
fraggly.
Bridge to that nose.
No, just comes down. But then he's got the plaid jacket. He's got these eyes set into his head as opposed to just...
Yes, that was another one of Cosell's features, is the heavy bags under the eyes.
Mm-hmm. And then the plaid jacket,
A lot of
a
sportscasters
lot of
during the day.
sportscasters. Yeah.
Another famous one for his plaid jackets was Lindsey Nelson, who I will bring up because he was the longtime broadcaster of my favorite team, the New York Mets.
But nowadays, if you want loud jackets and clothing, you're gonna have to go to Canada and watch Don Cherry
Yep,
on
Don Cherry.
on
Shout out to
hockey
our
night.
Canadian listeners.
Yes, tell us your Don Cherry stories. We'd love to hear them.
We're here to talk about Louis.
He's also wearing a gold ring on his pinky. Do we think that he's won some sort of like championship? It seems like a championship ring.
Yeah, it could be.
What do we think? What do
It
we think
also
his sport
feels like it
was?
was very much rooted in 70s fashion.
Also that's true. So yeah, he's got this unique design that none of the other Muppets really have. Very much designed based on the character that is Howard Cosell.
Yes,
So, and he filled basically that role on the Muppet Show.
that he did.
You would cover Muppets sports sections, which were very
Yeah.
wide-ranging.
Yeah, I mean, you really did. I mean, the crazy part is, just looking at Muppet Wiki, he was only on like maybe a dozen or so episodes of the show, but it was almost always, like maybe with like one or two exceptions, always a Muppet Sports segment. You really didn't see him too much outside of that.
No, not until after the show. We saw you would see him in a couple of things. Not
Yeah,
but obviously not one of the heavy hitters.
no,
Uh
no, not at all.
Pun very much intended. So let's talk about those Muppet sports sections. So he would say the wild world of Muppet sports, which was
Yes,
another reference to the wide world of sports.
yes. ABC's premier sports program for a while, which covered all sorts of sports, not just the big like team ones like baseball and football, but trying to define the wide world of sports. It really was a wide world because they would cover just about.
Billiards.
Yes, billiards. And I think that's where the Muppet Sports segments come from because they would take these like these incredibly obscure sports. Yeah, 1964. The Wide World of Sports covered the Oklahoma Rattlesnake Hunt Championships. But yeah, they had bowling,
Wonder if those are
track and
still going
field.
on.
Yeah. Yeah, demolition derby, curling, highlight, barrel jumping. But like, yeah, and they would show these incredibly obscure sports, and of course, that was perfect fodder for the Muppets. Because if you were talking crazy sports, the Muppets can always go crazier.
It's true. So, they had cross-country billiards, they had yard arm hanging,
Uh-huh. Goldfish shooting.
oh, shooting, which I actually think was it I believe I saw a Mythbusters episode where, they actually tested that, and apparently if you just shoot into a barrel of water, all the fish will just die. So the fact that the
Well,
fish
eventually
wins
you
in the
will
end,
run out of water if you're shooting into a barrel because the barrel's gonna leak.
if you keep shooting all the holes in it. It's true. Yes. So, which one's your favorite, Matthew?
My favorite, believe it or not, maybe because this was the one segment I saw because I had the Muppets compilation videos in the 90s. So my personal favorite is the wig racing, which is the first Muppet
First
sports
one.
sketch. I
And I
just
think it
love the
has the
wordplay
most,
on that one. Yeah.
yeah, the most references to various sports things and Howard Cosell and
Yes.
etc. Yes,
And of course, in a way, it sort of feels like an old Sam and Friends sketch where it's just like, what kind of shampoo do you use on your wig? I do not use shampoo. I use real poo. Nothing but the best poo for my wigs.
oh yes. The puns are fantastic.
Yes.
And his own hair comes off, I
Yep.
believe
The
Howard
wigs the
Cosell.
wigs race, and so does Kazaggers.
Yes, Cosell was known for having a toupee, or at least being teased for having a toupee.
Another one where the gag is so simple because I think this is the one time they actually tried to do a semi-legitimate sport, which was horseshoe pitching in the Roy
Mm.
Rogers and Dale Evans episode. And of course, it being a Muppet project, the catch is someone forgot to take the shoes off the horse. So, of course, Louis Kazagger gets socked in the face with a horse.
I really do feel like the Muppet sports sections really encapsulate the just Muppetdom, the Muppet Show, a Muppet sketch in a tiny little 1 minute package. Like every single one
Exactly.
of them. Some of them are more are I would say similar to newsman sketches where the
Yes.
joke is that, something falls on Louis Kazagger. But then other ones like my favorite is
Yeah, bagpipe
the
beating.
bagpipe eating because it goes from, oh, well, that's ridiculous, it's like a hot dog eating contest to, oh no,
The
the
bagpipe's
bagpipe is
alive.
alive. And so he has to wrestle the bagpipe as if it's you're doing alligator wrestling. And then even at the end, there's still one more surprise, and the bagpipe is, shooting bullets.
Yep.
And it's just one twist after another. So quite Muppety, quite Muppet chaos.
Also, I'm pretty sure this is one of the few recurring Muppet Show sketches where there is a body count. Uh, the tree staring episode from the Lola Falana episode. Uh, Eventually, the competitor Klaus Mueller stares down a tree. The tree eventually loses and falls down on Klaus, supposedly killing him.
Yeah, Louis Kazagger says that he'll make sure the widow gets the cash prize.
Like I don't think like I'm trying to think of any other instance where a character just dies in one of these recurring bits.
Well,
Like
you
for
do.
all the Swedish chef's attempts, I don't think he ever actually goes through with killing anyone.
It's true. Or, even if it's left up to the imagination, it is just left up to the imagination. But to say that, the guy's got a widow, that's pretty definitive.
But it also feels like it's that dark humor of the Salmon Friends days. That's when you think back to that time, it really does feel like there's something slightly sinister underneath. But anyway, that's why I like it. Another appearance I was exposed to as a child was the Great Muppet Caper, where Louis Kazagger's like one big moment outside of the Muppet Show, where he broadcasts the attempt to steal and or prevent the theft of the baseball diamond as
Yeah,
it turns into a game of catch.
while all of the other Muppets have left themselves down onto the floor of the gallery, he
Yep.
stays perched up above to commentate from on high. And as they throw the baseball diamond around as if it's a baseball, it's like the perfect button on the end of that whole pun setup. Is
Mm.
it turns into a baseball game, and now we have Louis Kazagger
Oh, uh,
commentating.
yeah. I mean, it's just the Muppet sports segments. Just not even as a sports fan, just have a place in my heart for like the visual. These were also very visual pieces. A lot of them.
Hmm.
Like we talk about the wordplay, the punning in wig racing, but after that, I mean, they're so visual, like the blindfold racing and yeah, the yard arm hanging and the billiards. It's just one of those great, very creative spots. Like of course, the entire show was creative, but for some reason, that just stands out as more outside the box than a lot of things.
And it could easily have gone a bit one note. Like I can see where this might have turned into a talking houses situation where, they're like, okay,
Yeah.
well, we've made fun of sports, but it did seem to keep itself from getting stale or from just rehashing the same road over and over again. I guess because there are so many different types of sports and so many different ways that you can talk about them. So,
Mm.
but it really begs the question as to why, Louis Kazagger hasn't made a reappearance since the 90s.
Yeah. I mean, if I had to speculate, it may be I don't necessarily know what materials the head was made out of. it looks like it's coated with fleece, but maybe the puppet just deteriorated, or maybe they just, as Jerry Nelson was starting to slow down with his Muppet stuff, maybe it was just a character that we didn't really need. But, as I've been saying, having seen the Muppet Show special that came out a few weeks ago, it does feel like anything could come back at this point. Even if it's not for a new series, there's just that feeling that it's all free game now.
It is. And you would think that, so we're obviously discussing him here because he didn't make
Yeah.
it into the original 70 for the
Yes.
campaign. And you know what? I feel like that's a way to silence him. Louis Kazagger was always speaking, he was telling it like it is,
Yep.
as his inspiration would say. And maybe
Yep.
maybe he angered a few too many people at the network.
Well, he's also, if we're talking about the 70 anniversary campaign, he was also one of the few at the end where they actually gave a reason as to why he wasn't included. And according to Joe the Legal Weasel, it's because his name is too hard to spell. Which, I mean, for the record, his last name is spelled Kazagger, which doesn't sound too hard. I mean, especially when Angus McGonagall got the okay. Honestly, my hot take about this is that the hard part to spell in his name is Lewis, because I often have a hard time remembering if it's Louis, which is the correct spelling, or Lewis.
We could be calling him Louis Kazagger
Louis Kazagger.
with the French pronunciation.
I mean, at the same point, we could also be calling a different character Louis Zealand, but
That's true. There were two possible Louis
another
there.
character whose name isn't exactly the easiest to spell.
But it's still interesting
I've
because,
seen a lot of misspellings of it Zeeland. So
well, and how do you even spell
I question Joe the
Kuzbanian?
Legal Weasel's I question
Reasoning,
his judgment there.
his judgment. Well, but so we have these wild world of Muppet sports segments, and we
Yes.
have the Great Muppet Caper bit, and surely somebody is nostalgic for old sports things. Like why?
I mean, it's not like sports is something that's dated.
Yeah, it fell out of favor by the 90s and
Yep.
haven't heard much of it since.
Like it feels like sports is an evergreen thing to spoof. And to be fair, they did bring back the Muppet Sports sketch just once without Kazagger. I believe it was a digital Muppets. Oh no, I'm sorry. It was on the Muppets Kitchen with Cat Cora, where they did they spoofed the X games with the Y games. But it's all the same Muppet Sports spirit. The traditional lighting of the light bulb, the cheesesteak sprint, and the pie catching contest, and the pie eating final, which is the most mundane.
Is it just because, we don't remember Howard Cosell that we think that, it'd have to be a different announcer? Do
Um,
we think anyone could just do this job?
I suppose you could, but it wouldn't be the same. Like, I feel like Louis Kazagger, I mean, his whole purpose is sports. That's why I feel like he's so inextricably tied to the sketch. I mean,
It,
if it's just Kermit, then it's, just a regular reporter Kermit bit.
that's
I mean,
true.
it could work, but it just doesn't feel the same.
Well, I definitely couldn't see Louis Kazagger doing anything else except
No.
sports. But I guess he could be replaced with a different type of sports caster character.
I mean, they could spoof Stephen A. Smith. For those of you who don't know, Stephen A. Smith is a sports broadcaster, part of ESPN, also part of the Walt Disney family. Yeah, just a different kind of commentator, not too dissimilar from Howard Cosell.
I think like the NBC equivalent was like Bob Costas. You'd see
Yeah,
him on
like a Bob
everything.
Costas or an Al Michaels for those who know your sportscasters. But yeah, I could see it. I could see it working today. Honestly, the thing that it might make the most sense would be to spoof like the Manning cast, where it's Peyton and Eli Manning like watching a sporting event and just like cracking jokes about it. Like that would be, I suppose, the modern version, but it wouldn't necessarily feel like the Muppet Show version.
That's true. It would have to go way
Like
wackier.
I feel like that could be more dated than the wild world of Muppet Sports.
Yeah, there's something, I mean, maybe it's just us, maybe it's because we're sports people,
Yes.
but there is something that you just understand about that type of broadcasting. And even if like even for people who weren't alive in the 70s, like you still see the iconic broadcasts that he did, like the George Foreman Joe Frazier fight, like the Olympics things that he did.
Yes.
Yeah, there's just nothing quite as iconic today.
No.
It's way too it's way too varied. You've got your baseball people, you've got your hockey people, you've got
Yes, it's
your
far too segmented. And yeah, I mean, I think when you set up the phrase wild world of Muppet Sports, you know it's going to be something silly and ridiculous, which I think is the appeal of the sketch.
and I think
I
actually I do think that those Muppet Show sketches still hold up. Like even
I
if
do. No, they do because of how absurd they are and how removed from sports culture that they are. I mean, it's a spoof, but at the same time, it's an affectionate spoof on the many world of sporting, and in a way, the sporting world has changed so much that it feels that we've embraced that. I mean, for Pete's sake, people go nuts for marble racing.
everything has a fandom.
Yep, absolutely. And I guess Muppet Sports is our little niche.
We'll take it. We'll take it and run. Maybe we'll figure out some way to make this interesting to Muppet
Yeah,
people
no.
who are non-sports people.
Yeah, I hope you all have learned a little or at least appreciated the sporting world a little.
I would say if you haven't heard of Howard Cosell, look him up, and you
Yes.
can at least judge our Howard Cosell impressions. And
Yeah,
who
no.
did it better, Jerry Nelson, Matthew Soberman, or Katie Lynn? You let us know in the
I mean,
on the
it's
Discord.
Jerry. It's Jerry.
It's
Uh
always Jerry.
Also another a bit about Howard Cosell that I'll just throw out there. Because he was such a big face for ABC, a little, a somewhat known fact. He hosted a primetime, a variety show series in the mid '70s, called Saturday Night Live with Howard Cosell, and in fact, that is the reason why they could not call what would become Saturday Night Live that name for several years.
Yeah, if you have watched that movie that came out with the Jim Henson
Yes,
character, I think that is part of the
it's called
backdrop.
Saturday Night.
Yeah, it's called Saturday Night, and I think part of the backdrop is it was running exactly at the same time as
Huh.
Saturday Night Live, and so that was what they were going up against with a sportscaster, Howard Cosell.
Yep, it did not go all the way.
No.
Oh, the show, according to Wikipedia, director John Misher once called it one of the greatest disasters in the history of television because they picked a sports guy to do comedy variety.
He had a very high opinion of himself, and I think
Yeah.
actually that does come across with the Louis Kazagger character as well, especially in that first wig racing
Yes.
sketch. I was just like, what am I doing here? What these
Trying
country
to bring
bumpkins?
gravitas to an event that really has no gravitas.
No gravitas. All right, do we have any final thoughts about Louis Kazagger?
R.I.P. Klaus Mueller.
Oh dear. So let's sign off for the night, Matthew.
Okay.
I feel like we're getting closer to John Wayne. Uh
Well, let me tell you there, we'll save that for the Mickey Mouse episode.
Take that as a little hint. Will there be a Mickey Mouse episode? You'll have to keep listening to find out.
70 Years, 70 Muppets, More Muppets Please is a Muppet fan podcast presented by toughpigs.com. Hosted by a myriad of people and edited by them as well. Produced by Joe Hennis. The Muppets 70 logo is used with permission by the Muppet Studio, with thanks to Danny Iglesias, Frank Reifschneider, and Lee Slaughter. Don't forget to follow toughpigs.com on all social media platforms, and you can support us by heading to patreon.com/toughpigs or by buying merchandise at tpublic.com/toughpigs.
Down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier!